In a moment that no one saw coming, not the fans, not the legal experts, not even the media sharks. Circling this case like blood in the water, Justin Baldoni, the one silent figure in the ongoing legal maelstrom with Blake Lively, has shattered the calm with a bombshell revelation that has set the internet ablaze. For weeks, public sentiment was oscillating between uncertainty and fatigue, but now, it's total chaos. It all began with what appeared to be a simple court filing, a footnote buried in a late-night update that most media outlets didn't even bother to read past the fourth page. But that footnote, that one offhand reference to new corroborating material independently verified by multiple third-party sources, lit the spark. And once people online realized that Baldoni's legal team had submitted external verification of a central piece of disputed evidence, the speculation went nuclear. The internet loves a twist, and this was a full cinematic turn. Within hours, hashtags like Baldonirciups, hashtag Justice for Justin, and hashtag Lively Lies Exposed were trending worldwide. Reddit threads went viral dissecting every detail. TikTok sleuths were combing over court documents like they were trying to decode the Zodiac Killer, and Twitter, or X, as it's now called, was absolutely rabid with commentary. But what exactly was this new twist? Let's back up. At the center of this legal nightmare is the infamous misconduct allegation brought forward by Blake Lively, which until recently seemed to rest heavily on anecdotal claims and vague references to hostile sets, difficult interactions, and most infamously a disputed recording that was allegedly deleted. Lively's PR machine had successfully painted Baldoni as the villain, a behind-the-scenes tyrant who weaponized charm and industry clout, and for a while that narrative stuck. But then something shifted. Quietly, methodically, Baldoni hired Bryan Freedman, a legal savage in a suit, and ever since then the tone from his side has changed. Not defensive, not desperate, but methodical, calm, and ice cold. And now we know why. Freedman wasn't scrambling to stop the bleeding, he was building a counteroffensive brick by brick. According to the new filing, a third-party digital forensic firm completely unaffiliated with either side has recovered fragments of metadata from a shared Google Drive folder. These fragments allegedly confirm that a video file previously dismissed as inadvertently erased by Lively's team was not only accessed after the date Lively claimed it was destroyed, but shared externally. Let that sink in. This isn't just a technicality. If true, this means Lively's team not only had access to the supposedly missing footage, they may have distributed it while denying its existence to the court. And that, in legal terms, is not just perjury, it's potential obstruction of justice. The moment this hit the internet, everything changed. YouTubers who'd been cautiously neutral on the story are now dropping reaction videos titled "Blake's Career is Over" and "Baldoni just checkmated Hollywood." Even mainstream outlets like The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline have begun walking back previous headlines that leaned heavily in Lively's favor. And the fans of the Swifties, the Baldonistans, the legal TikTokers, they've gone feral. Comment sections are flooded with reactions like "So they lied under oath, game over." This is why you don't mess with someone who's been quiet, they're building a case. We need to see the footage now, release it. Taylor better get ready. If she's in that video, this is gonna blow her world up too. Because yes, and here's where it gets even more explosive. The filing doesn't just mention Lively, it includes a redacted reference to a second party present in the footage. And based on timeline analysis and previous filings, fans are nearly certain that person is Taylor Swift. It's like watching a slow-motion detonation. The theory circulating now is that this recovered video shows not a hostile environment, but rather a candid, casual exchange between Baldoni, Lively, and Swift. An exchange that contradicts the claims of abuse and intimidation. If true, that wouldn't just exonerate Baldoni, it would make Lively look like a fabricator, and Swift like a willing enabler. We're not just in the realm of celebrity gossip anymore. This is reputational warfare at the highest level, and the internet is eating it up like it's the final season of Succession. Freedman hasn't commented directly. His only statement so far: the truth is not subject to spin, and it will come out in full. Short, lethal, calculated. What comes next is anyone's guess. Will the judge allow this new evidence into the case? Will Lively's team try to strike it down on a technicality? And most terrifying for Hollywood's elite, what if more lost evidence suddenly resurfaces? This is no longer a case about workplace drama. It's now a saga about cover-ups, digital trails, and how far the powerful will go to curate their image, and the public, they're watching like hawks. Once the internet got wind of the digital forensics revelation in Baldoni's court filing, a full-blown hunt began. Reddit detectives, ex-IT professionals, and self-proclaimed data nerds jumped in. Not to defend Baldoni blindly, but to verify. That's what makes this twist so compelling. It's not based on hearsay. or gossip. It's grounded in code and metadata, timestamps, file hierarchies, and sharing permissions. And what they uncovered, it's like peeling back the curtain on a stage play, only to find the lead actress rehearsing the role of a villain all along. One of the key Reddit threads that went viral is titled "The Footage Exists, Stop Saying It Doesn't." Within that thread, an anonymous user claiming to be a former consultant for a studio PR firm dropped this comment: "People don't understand how Google Drive works. Even if you delete a file, the activity log on a shared folder still shows metadata footprints. If multiple devices accessed that footage in late October 2023 after Blake claimed it was wiped, then someone's been playing a very dangerous game." The internet immediately began combing through public court schedules, leaked timelines, and archival articles, and here's where it gets messy. A now-deleted Variety article from November 2023 mentioned a video from the Wayfarer project, showing a behind-the-scenes moment between Justin Blake and a female pop artist, which at the time was dismissed by Lively's team as fabricated nonsense. That quote is now resurfacing and not aging well. People are now putting two and two together. That female pop artist wasn't some mystery cameo. It was Taylor Swift, who was present during key production days on the now-defunct Wayfarer set. And if the metadata traces are accurate, a file matching that very footage was opened and exported onto separate occasions, one from a New York-based IP address linked to an entertainment law firm, and the second from a device tied to an assistant in Lively's management circle. The implications are devastating because this suggests that the video wasn't just not deleted. It was being reviewed, possibly curated, maybe even discussed, all while Lively's side was publicly claiming it had been lost in a corrupted drive incident. This isn't a small contradiction. This is reputational treason, a lie too big to contain. And inside Lively's camp, panic. Sources close to the situation are leaking hints to the press, carefully worded denials, vague deflections, and what some are calling preliminary damage control. One source told The Wrap there's a lot of confusion over what files were considered admissible. Just because something was open doesn't mean it was knowingly used. That's the line they're running with now. We didn't know, but the court may not buy that. Especially not when a forensic team has already traced the activity logs. And then there's the Swift problem. The document's redaction doesn't hide what fans already know, that Swift is likely featured in the missing footage, which opens a new front in this war. If the footage shows Swift joking with Baldoni, acting comfortably around him, or worse, laughing during what Lively described as a deeply inappropriate moment, then the backlash won't just hit Blake, it will engulf Taylor too. Already online debates are breaking out. Did Taylor know what was being said about Baldoni if she was in that room? And the vibe was fine, then why was Lively claiming trauma? I feel lied to. The media made it sound like a horror movie set. Now it looks like a brunch behind the scenes. And you know who's staying silent? Swift. Her team has refused all comment, no denials, no confirmations, just radio silence, which in the PR world is as loud as a confession. Meanwhile, Baldoni's team is doubling down, not just in court but in strategy. They've filed a motion to allow the full footage to be introduced under evidentiary exceptions, citing rebuttal of demonstrably false testimony as justification. Translation: you lied. Here's proof. Legal analysts are already weighing in. CNN's legal correspondent said if this footage shows what Baldoni's team claims, a neutral or even positive interaction, and it was withheld, then this becomes a case of malice, not mistake. It opens the door to sanctions, countersuits, and potentially defamation liabilities. You can practically feel the walls closing in around Lively's PR team. The once polished narrative of a strong woman standing up against an industry predator is now morphing into something darker, a story about manipulation, media strategy, and coordinated deceit. And while the legal process grinds on, the court of public opinion is already in session. And their verdict: they want the tape. Twitter X is now a non-stop scroll of demands. Release the Wayfarer video. We want transparency. No more spin. If you had nothing to hide, why lie? If Swift doesn't speak up now, she's complicit. Some fans are even calling for a free the footage movement, complete with change.org petitions and emails flooding entertainment law offices. There's even a rumored internal panic at one streaming platform that had been considering Blake Lively for an upcoming lead. They've reportedly paused negotiations, pending clarity on the legal matter. This is what happens when you build your career on authenticity and then get caught falsifying it. The irony: all of this could have been avoided if Lively's team had just admitted early on that footage existed, or that misunderstandings were possible. They might have survived the storm. But by denying, erasing, and doubling down, they've handed Baldoni's team a golden narrative. We were telling the truth. They tried to erase it. Now the receipts are here. And in the age of the internet, nothing spreads faster than a comeback built on evidence. With the digital forensics shockwave still reverberating through every corner of the internet, the silence from Baldoni's legal team has been strategically loud. But behind the curtain, something bigger is happening. Because leaks are now starting to emerge directly from inside Baldoni's camp. Not from official filings, not from lawyers, but from those in the room: assistants, PR staffers, and a handful of studio execs who were once skeptical of Justin Baldoni's innocence, and are now singing a very different tune. According to a verified entertainment insider on Threads, the footage in question is not just neutral. It's exonerating. Their post reads, "I've seen partial stills from the video. It's a casual behind-the-scenes exchange. Blake is laughing. Taylor is making a joke about reshoots. There's no tension, no discomfort. Nothing resembling what was described in the allegations. Let that sit with you." For over a year, the dominant media narrative around Baldoni painted him as a charismatic manipulator who created an unsafe environment for his co-star. But if the footage shows what this insider is claiming, it doesn't just undermine Blake's story, it implodes it. And here's what makes this leak even more powerful: it aligns perfectly with the tone Baldoni has taken throughout this battle. He's been calm, controlled, patient, the opposite of a guilty man trying to cover his tracks. And now that evidence is catching up to that posture, the narrative is beginning to tilt hard. YouTubers and podcast hosts are now openly revisiting previous coverage with titles like "We owe Baldoni an apology. This is why Bryan Freedman waited. Taylor Swift is in trouble. She just doesn't know it yet, because now we have to talk about Taylor." Taylor Swift is no longer just a background figure in this scandal. With the metadata trace pointing toward a shared video featuring her and insiders now confirming she appears in the footage, the scrutiny has exploded. And it's not just online speculation. Legal analysts are beginning to ask very serious questions if Taylor Swift is seen on camera casually interacting with Baldoni during the time frame of Blake Lively's claims, and if that interaction contradicts sworn testimony. She may not be criminally liable, but she's absolutely part of the defamation puzzle. Why? Because Taylor's silence up to this point has given implicit support to Blake's narrative. She allowed her name, her brand, her aura of feminist justice to be used as a shield. Whether she was complicit or merely indifferent, public perception is shifting. And Swift's brand, it's built on moral clarity, on being the voice of truth in a sea of lies. So if she turns out to be a passive observer, or worse, an enabler, that moral clarity evaporates in an instant. Already, fan accounts once dedicated to Taylor's every move are locking their pages or going dark. And in Discord servers and Instagram comment sections, you're now seeing posts like, "This is what happens when celebs pick sides too early. Taylor should have stayed out of it. Now she's stuck. She was in that video and said nothing. I'm done." It's not a full cancellation, not yet, but it's damage, quiet, creeping, brand eroding damage. And her team knows it. Multiple entertainment reporters have now confirmed that Swift's PR agency has initiated reputation assessments and internal reviews of her affiliations in the Baldoni Lively saga. One contact inside the agency said they're weighing whether a public statement would help or hurt. But they're scared. Because if the footage drops and she looks fine, or worse, dismissive, there's no coming back. Without blood in the water, back to Baldoni. Behind the scenes, Bryan Freedman is preparing what appears to be a multi-phase offensive. One source close to the legal team claims there are 3 key pieces of evidence. 1. The metadata trail already filed. 2. The footage under evidentiary motion. 3. A corroborating witness name still sealed but described as a high-visibility industry figure. Who is this witness? Speculation is rampant. Some think it could be a producer from the Wayfarer project. Others say it might be a publicist who was present during a now-contested rehearsal, where Blake later claimed a verbal incident occurred. One name that keeps popping up: Ryan Reynolds. Yes, Blake's husband. And while there's no confirmation that Reynolds has taken any side publicly, whispers from both Hollywood and court watchers suggest that he's grown increasingly distanced from the case. One even claimed if Ryan had seen the footage and it contradicted Blake's account, that would explain a lot of his silence this past year. Could Reynolds be the sealed witness? It's speculative, but the internet is eating it up. And regardless of who it is, Freedman's team has made it clear the truth is being lined up. And it's coming out, and that's what makes this moment different from every other celebrity scandal we've seen. It's not just about he said, she said anymore. It's about what the camera saw and what they tried to bury. And in Hollywood, where everything is filtered, scripted, spun, that kind of raw, unfiltered truth is lethal. Lively's team is reportedly prepping a contextual statement in anticipation of the footage being made public. They want to frame it as a selective snapshot that doesn't capture the broader story. But here's the problem: they said it didn't exist. They went all in on denial. And when you deny something that's later proven real, you don't get to reframe, you lose credibility. Full stop. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni is rising like a phoenix through the ashes of his career. Public perception is shifting fast and not in small increments. We're talking entire reversal arcs in real time. Google searches for Justin Baldoni documentary Truth have surged for 100% in today's. Industry panels that once whispered his name in scandal now list him among examples of media misrepresentation. And Baldoni's only public words on the matter: truth speaks quietly, but it never stays buried. Mic drop. As the fallout intensifies, Blake Lively's team is facing the one thing every Hollywood publicist fears: a narrative they can't control. For over a year they had the reins, they had the headlines. Blake was painted as the graceful warrior, wounded yet strong. Her story was curated, her allies carefully selected, and her image immaculately preserved. But now that house of glass is cracking fast, and inside a mounting storm of panic, blame, and desperate spin. Sources from inside Lively's PR firm, one of the top boutique agencies in Los Angeles, have begun leaking details of an internal breakdown. Team members are clashing over strategy. Emails have reportedly gone out calling for a containment protocol. One leak obtained by a gossip columnist from the Daily Beast reads, "We must prepare clients and allies for potential backlash. The video is not what was initially described. Our messaging must shift immediately to context, complexity, and timing." Translation: they know they're caught, and now they're begging for nuance. But it's too late, because the internet doesn't do nuance when deception is involved. The court of public opinion is not a patient place, and right now it's a war zone. Multiple industry insiders now confirm that four of Lively's prior collaborators have begun reevaluating future relationships, including one major cosmetics brand that has paused a high-profile endorsement. One talent manager speaking off the record said the sense in the room is that she lied. And worse, she used her image of victimhood to do it. That doesn't just cost you projects, it costs you trust. And then there's the Swift situation. What was once a powerful alliance to icons standing shoulder to shoulder has reportedly curdled behind the scenes into something much colder. Rumors are circulating that Taylor Swift has privately confronted Blake over the fallout. An alleged source close to Swift's team told Des Moines Taylor's not happy, she feels blindsided. She didn't expect to be dragged into the legal spotlight, and now her silence is being read as complicity. Which raises the question, was Swift even aware of what Blake was planning when she went public with her accusations against Baldoni, or was she, as some speculate, used as a passive credibility prop if Swift really is in that footage? And if she shows no signs of discomfort around Baldoni, then her entire silence becomes a liability not just for her but for Lively. Swift's image is calculated, powerful, and above all protected. She doesn't take hits for anyone, not even friends. And insiders say she's already holding crisis meetings about how to handle the leak, if or more likely when the video gets released. One scenario being floated: a joint statement from both Blake and Taylor distancing themselves from the narrative war and citing complexity and misinterpretation. But that only works if the video is ambiguous. If it's clear-cut, if it shows joy, laughter, comfort, then no statement will save them. And while they panic, Baldoni ascends, yes, ascends. From presumed predator to possible whistleblower, from problematic co-star to victim of a coordinated takedown. You couldn't script a better redemption arc if you tried. Streaming platforms are repo.